So you've probably seen the name Nipah virus popping up in headlines, right? And let's be honest, after the last few years, hearing about any new virus can definitely spark a little bit of anxiety. So today, we're going to cut right through all that noise. We'll break down exactly what this thing is, where it came from, and what you really need to know.
And yeah, let's just get straight to the biggest question on everyone's mind. We see another virus in the news, and we all think the same thing. Are we looking at COVID-19 Part 2? Is this going to be another thing that flips our daily lives upside down all over again?
Well, the short answer is no. This is not some new global pandemic brewing on the horizon. But, and this is a big but, there's a very good reason it's getting so much attention. Recent events have put this pretty dangerous virus back in the spotlight, and to get why, we need to understand what it actually is.
To really get a handle on what's happening today, we've got to rewind the clock. We need to go back to the beginning. See, every virus has an origin story, and Nipah kicks off way back in 1998.
You know, the discovery of Nipah really does read like a medical detective story. So back in 1998, pig farm workers in Malaysia start getting really sick with this severe brain inflammation. The first guess from doctors was a known virus, Japanese encephalitis. But here was the problem, the big clue. People who were already vaccinated against it were still falling ill. That was the aha moment. That told them they were dealing with something completely new. It actually took until 1999 for a biologist to finally isolate the culprit, a brand new virus, which they named Nipah.
And the impact was, well, immediate and absolutely devastating. Once they traced the virus from pigs to humans, the authorities had to cull about 1 million pigs just to try and stop the spread. The outbreak ended up causing over 100 deaths in Malaysia, and it even jumped the border into Singapore. And it left a lasting mark. Believe it or not, it's the reason why pig's brain, which used to be a local delicacy, was banned in Singapore. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how fast these things can move through our food chain.
Okay, so that's the origin story. But how does this virus actually work? Let's trace its path, from its hidden home in the animal kingdom all the way to us.
At its core, Nipah is what scientists call a zoonotic virus. Now that sounds like a fancy science term, but the idea is actually super simple. It means the virus lives naturally in animals and can sometimes spill over into the human population. In this case, the natural home or reservoir for the Nipah virus is the fruit bat.
So here you can kind of see the whole chain of infection. It all kicks off with those fruit bats. They can contaminate stuff like fruit or even pig feed. In that very first outbreak, it was the pigs that acted as a sort of amplifier for the virus. Humans then got sick from direct contact with those infected pigs. Now, it can spread from person to person, but, and this is a really key difference from a virus like the flu, it needs very close contact with the bodily fluids of someone who is already sick.
This number, this is why public health officials snap to attention whenever Nipah is even mentioned. This is its case fatality rate, and yeah, it's dangerously, shockingly high.
Let's be really clear about why this virus is taken so seriously. It's not just that the death rate is incredibly high. The virus primarily attacks the brain, causing severe inflammation. And for the people who do survive, the fight isn't necessarily over. They can be left with just devastating long-term neurological problems. We're talking seizures or even permanent changes to their personality. It's just awful.
All right, I know, that all sounds pretty terrifying. So with all that in mind, let's bring it back to the here and now. Let's talk about those recent headlines and finally answer that question. How worried should you actually be?
The reason Nipah is back in the news is because of a small, recent outbreak in West Bengal, India. After just a few cases were confirmed, the authorities there moved incredibly fast, quarantining almost 100 people to contain the spread. And that local event created these global ripples, prompting countries like Taiwan and Thailand to step up screening for travelers coming from India, just as a precaution.
Okay, this right here is probably the most important comparison to understand what's going on. While Nipah is far, far deadlier than COVID-19 case by case, the way it spreads is kind of its Achilles heel. It needs that close contact with fluids. It doesn't just hang in the air like other viruses. And that fundamental difference is why Nipah tends to cause these small contained outbreaks. It burns incredibly hot for sure, but it doesn't travel very far or very fast.
And this quote really sums up what the experts think right now. While these outbreaks are, of course, incredibly serious for the communities they hit, so far they've stayed rare and geographically contained, mostly in parts of India and Bangladesh where people and fruit bat populations happen to live really close together.
So what's the big takeaway here? This is not a situation that needs widespread public alarm right now, but it is a really powerful reminder that these viruses are out there and that our public health systems need to be ready to act fast and decisively when they pop up, just like we saw them do in India. Staying informed is always, always the best approach.
And this really brings us to the final critical thought here. Every single one of these outbreaks, whether it's Nipah today or some other virus we haven't even discovered yet, it's a real-world test of our global preparedness. It's a stark reminder that the threat of a virus spilling over from the animal world is constant. So the real question isn't if the next one will emerge, but when, and are we truly ready for it?